She was frozen, alone and second from death, until he showed up out of nowhere. But the real twist? He wasn't who he claimed to be. Her hero had a secret she never expected. In this long-form romantic mystery, a near-death encounter sparks love. But what starts as a rescue becomes a web of secrets, heartbreak, and redemption. Sit back, grab a cup of water as we begin. The snow doesn't lie. Voiceover. The snow doesn't lie. It covers everything. Truth, pain, footsteps, even death. It was February 3rd, the kind of winter day that felt like the world had forgotten how to be warm. Wind whipped to the pine trees like whispered warnings, and the small cabin at the edge of Black Hollowwood stood frozen, literally and figuratively. Inside, Lena Harper, 27, lay bundled in a wool blanket, teeth chattering as a draft crept into the cracks of the old log walls. Her fingers trembled as she typed one last message on her dying phone. "If anyone finds us, tell my sister I tried." No signal. Figures. 3 days ago, Lena had followed a map, a sketch she found in her late mother's journal. A note beside it read, "Where the truth began." She thought it might lead her to answers about her mother, about the past no one ever talked about. Now, her Jeep was buried under 4 feet of snow, and her food supply consisted of half a protein bar and a tin of breath mints. She curled closer to the wood stove, which hadn't been lit in hours. She'd run out of firewood, and her lighter died this morning. Nature, it seemed, was playing by prison rules. This is how it ends? "In a cabin my mother never wanted me to find," she muttered, pulling her jacket tighter. Then a knock. 3 slow raps. Faint. Hesitant. Her eyes widened. "Hello," she croaked, stumbling to the door. No one. She opened it cautiously. Wind slapped her face. Snow howled. But there, standing in the storm like some half-mythical figure, was a man. Tall. Hooded. Covered in snow. He didn't speak. Just stared, as if he'd been expecting her. She stepped back instinctively. He stepped forward. "You Lena Harper?" His voice was gravel dipped in honey. She hesitated. "Who's asking?" He pulled down his hood, revealing ice-blue eyes and a face that looked like it had seen more winters than it should have. But he couldn't have been older than 30. "Name's Callum. I was told you'd be here." "Told?" He pushed past her gently, removed his snow-covered coat, and without asking, tossed 2 fresh logs into the stove. Then he struck a match. Fire. Real fire. The room crackled to life. "Who told you I'd be here?" Lena asked, still frozen in place. "Your mother." She nearly dropped to the floor. "My mother's been dead for 5 years. Callum didn't blink. "I know. That's why it's complicated." Voiceover. I should have asked him to leave. Should have questioned the map, the knock, the firewood. But I didn't. Because when you're half dead and someone shows up with warmth and answers, you don't ask why. You just breathe. And for the first time in 3 days, Lena did. Voiceover. Strangers come with shadows, but this one, he brought fire. And answers I didn't want. Lena stared at the man, Callum, as he knelt by the stove, feeding the flames like he owned the place. She watched the firelight dance on his face, casting long shadows under his eyes. She wasn't sure what scared her more, being alone in the woods with a stranger or not being alone anymore. "You want to tell me how my dead mother sent you?" Lena asked, her voice low, firm. Callum didn't turn around. "I'll tell you everything. Just not tonight. You're freezing, starving, and barely conscious." He tossed her a wrapped protein bar. The same brand she packed. The same flavor. Suspicious. "Where'd you get this?" "You dropped it 2 miles back, right before you nearly slid into that ravine." Lena blinked. That's right. She had slipped while climbing that frozen ridge, barely catching herself. She remembered something falling, but she'd been too dizzy to check. "You were following me?" He finally looked at her. "I was protecting you." Silence. She stood up, wobbling slightly. "Well, I didn't ask for a guardian angel." "Yeah," he muttered. "Neither did your mother, but she got one anyway." The words hung in the air like smoke. She studied him carefully. His clothes were modern, but his mannerisms? Not quite. He moved like a soldier, deliberate, controlled. His boots were worn but military grade. His eyes scanned the room constantly. Trained. Were you really? She asked. CIA? Some ex-military tracker? A ghost in Patagonia gear. Callum chuckled, surprising her. The sound was warm. Real. No, but I like the last one. Ghost in gear. Sound like a country album. Lena almost smiled. Almost. Look, he continued, more serious now. I'm here because your mom knew one day you'd come to this cabin, and she made me promise I'd watch over you when that happened. So what? You're just some guy who keeps promises for dead women? No. He paused, expression tightening. I'm the man who loved her. Lena's knees nearly gave way. You what? Your mom and we were together. Before you were born. Before the fire. Fire? Lena's world tilted. What fire? Callum looked down, his hand brushing the scar on his wrist. The one that burned away everything you thought you knew. The wind outside howled louder, almost as if nature wanted to scream the truth. Voiceover. I should have thrown him out, or at least questioned why he looked like he hadn't aged in decades. But instead, I listened, because something in his voice sounded familiar, like bedtime stories I barely remembered. And suddenly, being alone was no longer the scariest thing. It was finding out I never really was. Voiceover. My mother didn't leave me money. Or letters. She left me something far worse, curiosity. By morning, Lena had a headache. The kind that comes from hearing too much and believing too little. Callum was making coffee. Black. Of course. No sugar, no cream. The kind of coffee that screams, I've seen things. I found this, he said, sliding a folded paper across the table like it might explode. Lena hesitated. She unfolded the parchment. It wasn't notebook paper. It was old, almost brittle. The ink had faded in some places, and in others, it looked burned. Looks like a map, she said, tilting her head. It's not. Callum leaned closer. That's a code. One your mother and I developed when we were trying to disappear. Disappear from what? She asked. My dad. Callum didn't answer. His eyes dropped to the paper, and for a second, Lena swore she saw fear. Your father wasn't who you think he was, Lena. That phrase again. Stop saying that. Everyone keeps telling me my parents weren't who I think they were. So who the hell were they? Survivors, Callum said. And now it's your turn. He pointed to the lower corner of the paper. See that symbol? A tiny triangle, drawn with a broken line through the middle. Lena had seen it before. In a journal her mother once kept. The one with the pages torn out. The one she'd buried in a box under the cabin floor. She didn't mention that yet. What does it mean? She asked. It's a mark. Coordinates. But not to a place. To a person. You're telling me my mom used treasure map codes to find people? Callum shrugged, sipping his paint thinner coffee. It worked. She found me. That shut her up. And now? Lena asked, now you have to find the rest. There are others. She stared at the code, then back at Callum. You expect me to believe this? That my mom left behind some network of secrets? You should ask yourself why she never told you, he replied, calm. Maybe it's because you weren't ready. And what makes you think I am now? Callum tilted his head. Because you didn't run last night. She didn't know what to say to that, so she stared at the code, and something strange started happening. Her fingers began to trace the lines on the page, as if they knew where to go. Muscle memory? No, something deeper. Suddenly, she flipped it over. On the back, almost invisible in faint pencil, were 4 words. You were always chosen. Silence. What does that mean? She whispered. It means you have a decision to make. What kind of decision? Callum stood, slipping his jacket on, whether to burn this paper or follow it. He walked out into the snow, boots crunching quietly. Lena sat there alone. Just her, a map that wasn't a map, and a truth she couldn't unknow. Voiceover. She was dead. My mother. But somehow, her hands were still moving mine. And suddenly, I didn't want the truth. I wanted her back. Camera pans up to the ceiling as the fire flickers below. Outside, the wind begins to whisper, like voices calling the cold. Voiceover. You know that feeling when you look at an old picture and feel like something's missing? Maybe someone isn't there, but you still feel them. That's the problem with memories. They leave fingerprints, even when no one else sees them. The storm outside rages louder now, sleet tapping the windows like impatient fingers. Inside the cabin, Lena kneels beside a leather duffel bag she'd pulled from under a loose floorboard. The lock had long since rusted away. Her mother's initials burned into the corner, MH. She unzips it carefully, as if disturbing the past might wake it up. Inside, she finds photographs, old, faded, slightly warped by time and temperature. Most are black and white, some in washed-out color. Dozens of them. Camping trips. Smiling faces by lakes and mountains. A much younger version of her mother. Another woman Lena doesn't recognize. And Lena herself, maybe 5 years old, waving at the camera in oversized snow boots. But something strange. In photo after photo, the same thing. There's space in every frame. A gap, a missing piece. Like someone had been cropped out or had never really been captured in the first place. In one photo, Lena's hand is outstretched, clearly holding someone's hand just outside the frame. In another, her eyes are pointed towards someone not visible, smiling up at them. But no one is there. She flips the photo over, faint handwriting in pencil. Glacier Trail, 1999. The last real hike. She pulls another. Her mother standing in front of a fire pit, clearly laughing, but her body's leaning into something or someone just out of shot. She's not alone. And in that moment, Lena knows the truth in her gut. He was there. Callum. She rifles through the rest of the bag. At the bottom, a strip of photo negatives. She holds them up to the window light. A shape, tall, slightly hunched. Familiar build. She squints, and there it is. Callum. Not older. Not younger. The same. Exactly as he looks now. She stumbles back. Breath catches in her throat. The storm howls louder. Her phone vibrates. She checks it. A signal? For one brief second. A single bar. She opens a voice recorder app and starts speaking fast. If anything happens to me, if I disappear, look for Callum. I don't think he's who he says he is. Then, the sound of the door creaking behind her. She spins around. Callum stands in the doorway, wet snow clinging to his jacket, but his face blank. Calm. Too calm. You found the bag, he says, voice almost gentle. Lena slips the phone behind her back. Still recording. You were in the photos, she says quietly. He steps inside, boots thudding against the floor. No, I wasn't. Yes, she snaps. I saw the negatives. You were with us. With her. With me. He pauses. Then smiles, but it's not a lie. It's regret. I was with you, he says softly. I always have been. But I wasn't in the photos because I wasn't supposed to be. What does that mean? Callum walks to the table, picks up a framed photo she hadn't touched yet. Her mother holding a baby. Lena. He holds it with reverence, like it's a relic or a goodbye. There are things about your mother you don't understand. Things she did to keep you safe. She told you to lie to me? No. She told me to protect you, even from the truth. Voiceover. That's the problem with truths. Once they start unraveling, they don't stop. Lena narrows her eyes. Why haven't you aged, Callum? He looks at her, eyes heavy with something ancient, and then he says it. Because the day your mother saved me, time stopped. For both of us. Thud. A loud knock at the cabin door. Both of them jump. Callum's hand moves toward his jacket pocket, but Lena is faster. She grabs a fire iron from the hearth. The knocking continues, louder, urgent. Don't, Callum whispers. Don't open that door. But Lena's already moving. Because sometimes the only way out of a lie is through the next one. Voiceover. He wasn't in the photos, but he was always there, watching, waiting, protecting me, or hiding something worse. The door creaks open, and what's on the other side isn't the blizzard. It's another person, a woman, shivering, bleeding, holding a pendant that matches the one around Lena's neck. She gasps, "You're not safe here. He's not what you think." Voiceover. Sometimes, it's not what you find that breaks you. It's what shouldn't exist at all. A door locked for decades. A woman with a matching locket. And a man who claims time forgot him, but someone else remembered. Lena slams the door shut behind the bleeding woman and bolts it. Callum stands frozen, face pale, as the woman collapses onto the wooden floor, clutching her ribs. Lena kneels down, ripping off her scarf to apply pressure to the woman's wound. "Who are you? What happened?" she demands. The woman struggles to speak, eyes flickering between Lena and Callum. She holds up the necklace, an old bronze locket, identical to the one Lena wore around her neck. "She told me to find you." The woman gasps, "Your mother," before she vanished. Lena's heart skips. "My mother died 12 years ago." The woman shakes her head, blood on her lips. "No, she's not dead. She's trapped." Flashback voiceover. 10 years earlier. A woman runs through the snowy woods. Chased. She stumbles into the same cabin. She seals a room shut behind her, turning the key and dropping it into the floorboards. Someone bangs on the door. She whispers to herself. She must never know what's behind that door, not until it's too late. Back in the present. Lena turns to Callum. "There's a locked room in this cabin, isn't there?" He doesn't answer. Behind the bookshelf, the woman croaks. The door is still there. She left the key. Lena drops the fire iron and rushes to the bookshelf. She scans the floorboards, prying one open with a knife. Dust flies, and then a glint, a tiny, ancient key. Callum finally speaks, voice low and calm. Too calm. "You don't have to open that." But Lena doesn't stop. The key fits perfectly into a panel behind the shelf. It turns with a loud click. The door creaks open, revealing pitch black. Inside the hidden room. The room is lined with old books. A desk covered in maps, faded newspaper clippings, and more photographs, some of them torn, burned around the edges. And in the center of the room, a corkboard pinned with dozens of faces. Faces of women. One of them is Lena's mother. And another, the woman who just collapsed. Lena stumbles back, knocking over a stack of old cassettes. "What is this?" she yells. Callum stands at the doorway, shadows covering his face. "They were like you. All of them. Carriers of the mark." "What mark?" she asks, hands trembling. Callum walks slowly into the room and gently lifts her locket. He opens it. Inside, a faded symbol carved into the back. Circular. Ancient. Identical to the one on the wall behind the corkboard. "That," he whispers, "that's not jewelry. That's a seal. A curse passed down for generations. And every woman who wears it is hunted." Lena's breath catches. "By who?" He looks up, eyes suddenly glowing faintly. "By the ones who can't die. And the ones who made us this way." Voiceover. It wasn't just a family secret. It was a bloodline. A curse sealed in metal and memory, and I was the next in line. The woman on the floor moans. "There's more," she chokes. "You need to find the girl. The other one." She remembers it all. "Who? What girl?" But before she can answer, her body goes still. Not dead, unconscious. Lena scrambles for her phone, but there's no signal again. She turns back to Callum. "I need answers. Now." Callum sighs, sitting slowly in the desk chair. "It's not about love anymore, Lena. It never was. It's about survival." Outside, the wind picks up. Snow falls harder. And in the distance, the strange sound, like a howl, but not from any animal Lena knows. Voiceover. They said the dead stay buried. But some secrets claw their way back through the snow. Voiceover. Some strangers knock. Others don't have to. They arrive knowing your name, your face, your past. But when a girl from the snow knew things Lena never told anyone, the question wasn't who she was, it was what. The storm outside is now relentless. Snow whips across the windows. Lena stares into the hidden room, heart pounding, trying to make sense of what she just saw. Callum stokes the fire without speaking. The unconscious woman on the floor groans again, her locket now glowing faintly under the light. Suddenly, a knock. Not timid, not panicked, just steady. 3 taps. Lena jolts upright. Did you hear that? Callum doesn't move. She rushes to the door, hard her throat, and opens it just a crack. There, standing calmly in the blizzard, is a young girl, no more than 12, dressed in nothing but a red coat, her eyes impossibly blue and piercing. She's barefoot and smiling. Lena swings the door wide open. Sweetheart, what are you doing out here? You'll freeze. The girl doesn't shiver, doesn't even look cold. Instead, she says quietly, I'm here to help you, Lena. Lena steps back. Do I know you? The girl tilts her head. Not yet. Inside the cabin. The girl walks inside like she's been there before, glancing around the room. Her eyes land on the hidden door, then on the woman unconscious by the fire. She didn't make it far, did she? She murmurs. Lena stares at her, stunned. Who are you? The girl walks to Lena and reaches up to touch the locket on her chest. The moment her fingers brush it, the fire flickers, and the air drops 10 degrees. She gave it to you too soon, the girl whispers. But it's not your fault. Callum stands now, tense, watching the child like she's a bomb ready to go off. You shouldn't be here, he growls. The girl ignores him. Instead, she pulls something from her pocket. A photo, black and white, faded. It's a picture of Lena as a child. But standing next to her is this same girl. Only the photo is dated 1993. And Lena was born in 1995. Voiceover. She was a ghost with a heartbeat. A memory that hadn't happened yet. But somehow, I knew her. The girl looks at Lena again. You're going to want to open the second room. What second room? There's always a second room, the girl says, stepping over to the back wall of the hidden chamber. She presses her hand against the wood, and the wall shifts. A hidden panel slides open, revealing a narrow staircase, spiraling down into darkness. Callum steps forward. Lena, don't go down there. That's not for you. Then why is my name etched on a wall? Lena whispers, pointing to the glowing inscription on the wooden panel. It reads, Lena Grace, did not open until awakened. Flashback, distorted images. A group of people in robes. A baby placed inside a circle of symbols. The locket burning with white light. And someone screaming. She must never remember who she is. Back in the cabin. Lena turns to the girl. Who am I? The girl looks up, dead serious now. You're the last Phoenix. The only one left that hasn't burned yet. Lena backs away. Burned. Callum sighs deeply, defeated. She's telling the truth, he says. The girl nods solemnly. But if you don't go down there soon, you won't survive the next sunrise. Voiceover. I wasn't just a girl in a storm anymore. I was a key to a fire the world thought was dead. But someone wanted to reignite it. Lena grips the railing, staring down into the staircase. The girl places a photo in her hand. And as the candle flickers, Lena hears her mother's voice. Soft, familiar. Remember who you are, baby, even if it kills you. Voiceover. They buried the truth so far beneath the surface that even the dead couldn't whisper it. But what happens when the buried truth starts to breathe? The spiral staircase groans under Lena's weight as she descends. The walls are narrow, carved in stone, damp with age. Each step creaks like it's protesting her presence. Behind her, the girl in the red coat hums a lullaby, one that sends a chill down Lena's spine. She doesn't know the song, yet it feels carved into her bones. Callum follows silently, holding a torch. We should turn back. But Lena doesn't. She can't. At the bottom, the stairs end in a heavy iron door with strange markings, symbols that match the locket on her neck. The red-coated girl points to the center. Your touch is a key. Lena hesitates. What exactly am I opening? The girl's smile fades. Not what? Who? Flashback quick cut sequence. Lena's mother in a hospital bed, whispering something in a panic. A hooded man locking away a child in a glowing chamber. A fire consuming an entire village. A baby's cry echoing under stone. Back in the present. Lena places her palm on the center sigil. It glows white, then blue, then black. The door clicks. The air shifts. A low, guttural rumble starts, like something exhaling after centuries of silence. The door opens, and inside is a chamber, lined with mirrors, each one showing a different version of Lena. Lena laughing as a bride. Lena screaming in chains. Lena with glowing eyes, standing in fire. Lena holding a dagger over Callum's chest. She stumbles back. Callum grabs her hand. This is the wake room. The what? He looks into one of the mirrors and sees his own face covered in blood. It's a place meant to remind you of all you've been, of all you could become, and what you might do if you're not careful. Suddenly, a mirror shatters. The girl gasps. It's starting. From the broken glass, something crawls out. Not a creature, not a person, a shadow. It drips like ink but moves like smoke. It has no face, only a shape. And it whispers. Lena, wake up. The other mirrors crack, one by one. Callum yells, get back! Don't listen to it. The shadow lunges at Lena, but instead of attacking her, it enters her. She gasps, choking, trembling, eyes glowing white for a brief second. Then, silence. Voiceover. In that moment, I saw everything. All the lives I had lived. All the deaths I had died. And I understood I wasn't just someone running from the cold. I was the reason it was here. Lena collapses. The red-coated girl kneels by her side. Callum asks, is she gone? The girl answers solemnly, no, she's becoming. And behind them, the chamber door slams shut. She has awakened, but the world is not ready. Voiceover. Some names open doors. Others set the world on fire. And one name, only one, can bring everything crashing down. Lena stirs on the floor of the mirror chamber. Her breath is ragged. The air is heavy. The red-coated girl and Callum kneel beside her, but she barely sees them. Her vision is filled with fire, a flickering memory she doesn't understand. She whispers, it called me by name. Callum's eyes widen. What name? Lena shakes her head. Not mine. A name older than me. A name that shouldn't exist. Suddenly, a rumble above. The earth quakes. Dust falls from the ceiling. Then silence. And from the corridor outside the chamber, footsteps. Measured. Heavy. Too calm. Callum grabs Lena's arm, pulling her behind him. Then he sees the man. Tall. Gray trench coat. No gloves. And eyes like fading embers. He isn't afraid. He looks like he's been here before. He doesn't smile. Doesn't blink. Her awakening triggered the lockfall. The man says, we don't have much time. Lena squints. Who are you? He pauses. Someone who buried your truth the first time. Flash cut flashback. That same man, younger, fighting someone in a burning cathedral. A ritual with Lena as a baby, floating above flames. The man screaming, I said seal it, not destroy her. Back to present. Lena steps forward, anger rising. You knew me? You left me in the cold to die. The man nods, solemn. You had to forget. For your sake. For everyone's. Callum growls. What's your name? The man glances toward Lena, then says with gravity, Ashriel. The chamber flickers, reacting to the name. The mirrors shake. The shadow from earlier, still inside Lena, stirs. She clutches her chest. Ashriel, that name, it burns. He nods. Because your soul remembers me. I was your guardian once. But now I'm your failsafe. Lena, trembling. Failsafe? Ashriel steps forward, calm but lethal. If your powers aren't sealed within the next 12 hours, you'll raise the last barrier between this world and the rift. Callum, you want to seal her again? Ashriel, no. I want to help her remember who she was. And then she gets to choose. The red-coated girl pulls Lena back. Don't listen to him. He's the one who whispered to the fire. Lena stares at Ashriel. Is it true? Ashriel sighs. I didn't whisper to the fire. I gave it your name. Suddenly, bang! A wall collapses behind them. Dozens of glowing eyes slither through the rubble. Rift-born creatures, warped and shrieking. Asriel pulls 2 daggers from his coat. Time's up. Lena's hands pulse with light. Callum draws a blade. The red-coated girl just smiles. I told you it's starting. Voiceover. The truth wasn't just buried. It was guarded. And now, the Guardians have come to end what they started. Final shot. The group stand together in a circle, surrounded by creeping rift-born shadows, ready to fight. A single tear rolls down Lena's cheek. She whispers, I remember now. The fire was never the enemy. It was me. To remember is to burn. Voiceover. Some words are too dangerous to speak aloud. So she wrote them, folded them away, and never expected them to be opened. The group has escaped the collapsing chamber, trekking through a narrow frost-covered hallway. Lena's breath is visible in the cold. Her fingers still glow faintly from a fight. Behind her, Callum limps, injured but trying to hide it. Asriel walks silently, scanning shadows. The red-coated girl hums a nursery rhyme under her breath, completely unbothered. Suddenly, Lena stops. A door, old, wooden, marked with a seal, her seal. The others halt behind her. She touches it. Wait here, she says. Inside the room, dust, cobwebs, candles long melted down to wax puddles. And in the center, a desk covered in sealed envelopes, aged paper, all in her handwriting. Letters, dozens of them. Lena stares in disbelief. These are mine. She picks one up. It's addressed. To the man I saw in my dreams but never knew. Another, to the mother I never remembered. Another still, to the fire inside me, begging to be understood. Flashback montage. A younger Lena, maybe 10 or 11, scribbling by candlelight, her fingers covered in ink, whispering prayers to no one, folding letters and hiding them in hollow walls. Back to present. Lena. I used to write letters when no one would listen, but they were never sent. Asriel speaks, voice low. They didn't need to be. They were read by those watching you. Lena spins. You read my thoughts? Asriel shakes his head. Not me. Them. He points to the shadows flickering on the walls. They've known you were awakening. Every letter was a spark. Callum steps in. Are you saying her pain summoned them? Asriel. No. Her honesty did. Lena's face trembles. I wrote things no one should have known. She tears open one envelope. Sometimes I wonder if I'm cursed. Why do I feel fire when everyone else feels cold? Why do I hear voices when I pray? Another letter. If someone ever finds this, please tell me who I am. Then, suddenly a noise. Paper flutters. One of the letters disappears in a spark of blue flame. A voice echoes in the room. Not human. She remembers. She burns. She returns. The red-coated girl peeks into the room, giggling. You probably shouldn't have opened that one. The desk bursts into flame. Letters consumed. Asriel shields Lena as the room trembles. A mirror on the far wall cracks, but doesn't shatter. Behind it, a shadow. It has her face, but eyes black as ink. It smiles and whispers, You invited me. Voiceover. She wrote her truth, but truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it summons the very thing that was never meant to return. Title card. Some secrets don't stay sealed. Voiceover. The lake had always been quiet, frozen, undisturbed. But beneath its stillness lay the truth no one dared to speak. Until now. A heavy snowstorm blankets the mountain. The group, Lena, Callum, Asriel, and the red-coated girl, descend the final slope. In the distance, the lake glows with a strange bluish hue. It's silent, unnaturally so. Lena whispers, This is where my dreams always ended. Asriel nods solemnly. This is where it began, and where it must end. They approach the lake. Its surface is glass, solid ice with flickers of movement beneath. Shapes, shadows, almost like memories swimming. Callum grips Lena's hand. Are you sure about this? Lena steps forward, eyes glowing faintly. I need to know. I need to remember. Flashback flickers, not full scene, just flashes. A woman in a red cloak, holding a baby. Lena. A man in black armor dropping something into the lake. The fire symbol glowing on infant Lena's chest. A scream. Then silence. Asriel kneels near the edge. There's a ritual buried here. One only the air can finish. Lena. The air. Asriel. You. She breathes out, lips trembling, and then steps onto the ice. Suddenly, crack. The ice spiderwebs under her feet. She doesn't fall. But beneath the surface, the shadow of her, the dark Lena from the letters, mirrors her movements. Then a voice erupts around them. It's not one voice. It's many layered. She remembers. She denies. She returns. The red-coated girl begins spinning in circles, laughing. She's gonna break it. She's gonna break it. Finally, Asriel draws his blade. Callum holds up his hands. His palm is glowing now too. Fire, just like Lena's. Lena notices. Callum, you're? He nods. I didn't know until I met you. Suddenly, boom, the lake shatters into 1,000 shards, but doesn't collapse. Instead, it forms a tunnel, a frozen bridge descending beneath the surface. At the bottom, a tomb, a coffin of ice, with a name etched on it. Ileana, the first flame, the forgotten mother. Lena stares, horrified. That's my mother's name. Asriel steps forward. She sacrificed herself to bind the darkness inside you, but someone broke the seal. Someone read the letters. The coffin cracks. A dark mist begins to rise. Lena, the letters weren't just mine. They were part of the lock. Asriel nods. The truth set her free. And now the darkness wants you back. The shadow Lena emerges from the mist. Identical in face. Opposite in soul. She grins. We could have been whole, but you chose hope. Lena shakes her head. I choose fire. She throws her hands forward. A blaze explodes from her palms, engulfing the ice, the tomb, the mist. The shadow screams, fractures, shatters like glass. Then silence. The lake refreezes. Still, silent. Whole again. Later, the group walks away from the lake. Lena looks different now. Older. Stronger. Calm. Callum wraps a scarf around her neck. She smiles faintly. Voiceover. She was frozen. Alone. Dying. But what saved her wasn't just fire. It was the truth she was once too afraid to face. Title card. But not all secrets stay buried forever. 6 years later. Voiceover. Time doesn't heal everything, but it teaches us how to live again, even after the fire. A sunny day. Children laughing in the distance. The screen fades in from white. We're in a small town nestled by the woods, not far from the icy lake that once held a nightmare. A little girl with flame-red mittens runs through the snow, chasing a black dog that looks suspiciously like the one that found Lena years ago. Her laugh echoes. It sounds just like Lena's. Cozy cabin. A fireplace crackles warmly. On the mantel are photos. Lena and Callum on a porch, smiling. Asriel and a goofy chef's hat holding a burnt pie. The red-coated girl in a graduation gown. A baby photo with 2 tiny fists glowing faintly with fire. Lena enters from the kitchen, hair longer now, eyes wiser. She sets a plate of cookies on the table, wiping flour from her cheek. Callum walks in behind her, now wearing glasses and carrying a toddler on his back like a superhero cape. Callum grinning. She used her fire powers again to melt her cereal spoon. Lena chuckles. She's her mother's daughter. The toddler blows a raspberry, then hiccups, and a spark shoots out of her mouth. Callum pretends to faint. Oh no, she's stronger than you already. Lena smiles, then turns toward the window. Her smile softens. Outside, snow begins to fall. But not the icy, dangerous snow before. This one is peaceful. Asriel walks up the hill in the distance, carrying what looks like a school bag and a sword. He's become the town's eccentric teacher/protector. Still dramatic. Still loyal. He waves. Lena waves back. Lena's voice. We never forgot what happened. We never wanted to. Because from the ashes of it all, we found each other. Flash montages. The lake now turned into a memorial garden. The letters Lena once found, now preserved in glass. The shadow self, sealed away in stone. The red-coated girl leading younger kids in storytelling sessions. The dog getting an award from the mayor, wearing a medal back in the cabin. Callum sits beside Lena as the fire glows. Lena, softly, you think they'll ever believe what really happened? Callum smiles. Doesn't matter if they do. He holds her hand. She lived. That's what matters. Through the window, we see the little girl spinning in the snow with the dog. She lifts her hands, and for just a second, flames dance from her fingertips, then vanish into sparkles. Voiceover. They say heroes save the day. But sometimes, it's the broken ones who save each other, not with swords, but with truth, fire, and love. Frozen, alone, and dying, her hero had a secret she never expected. The end. Thanks for watching till the end. Please like, share, and subscribe. We love you.